from advisors who couldn't be on the call, and I said I would record it. It looks like it's recording. Very good. Our group isn't that large from what I see here, so I thought, why don't we take a brief moment and we'll all introduce ourselves so we know who we're talking to tonight. I'll go ahead and start. If you don't know me, I'm David Lorenzi, and I am the Executive Director of the Phi Epsilon Kappa Fraternity. I'll introduce the board members that I see on the call, and then I'll ask each of you to just briefly introduce yourself, tell us where you're at, what your school, your chapter is. Deb, I'll go ahead and start with you.
Oh, I thought you were doing the heavy lifting. I'm Deb Berkey. I'm in Michigan. I'm a past president of the board and currently the treasurer, and retired, but not really, rewired in the state of Michigan. So that's me.
All right, thanks, Deb. How about Ann next?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Hickey. I'm the current past president on the board, and I'm at Whittier College and the faculty advisor for our chapter. And if you don't know, Whittier is in Whittier, California, which is a part of Los Angeles.
Very good, thank you. How about Eric?
Yes, hi, Eric Sandler. I teach at SUNY Brockport and chapter advisor there, as well as serve as the District 2 director on the board of directors.
Right, thank you, Eric. And Dan.
Hello, my name is Daniel Burt, and I'm at Texas A&M University Kingsville, serve as the chapter advisor there for Zeta Mu, as well as serve on the board of directors. So glad to see everyone.
All right, thank you, Dan. And then I'm just going to go around and call out your name and ask you to just please introduce yourself. Nancy, could you go, please?
Nancy Van Hoosier, chapter advisor at Olivet College.
All right, thank you. And Paul?
Hi, Paul Alvarez, chapter advisor, University of Laverne. We're near Whittier, so if that helps.
Thank you.
There's Whittier.
And the chapter advisor with the most unique name, Smiley. I've been dying to ask you about that name.
It's a family name. Hi.
Okay, I figured.
I'm Smiley Reeves with ETA chapter at Louisiana Tech University.
All right, thank you. Christy.
Hello, everyone. I am Christy Gonzalez, chapter advisor from Manhattan College.
All right, thank you, Christy. Gloria.
Hello, I'm Gloria Elliott, North Carolina A&T, Greensboro, North Carolina.
All right, thank you, Gloria. And Sarah.
Hi, I'm actually the president of the chapter at Concordia University in Irvine, California. My advisor couldn't make it, so he asked me to join. Hope that's okay.
That is okay. Glad to have you, Sarah. Thank you. All right, how about Gwendolyn next?
I am sorry that I cannot show my faces today. I have the flu, and I have 2 strands of the flu, A and B. So I have been feeling really terrible. So I do apologize for that. But at any rate, I am the faculty advisor for Zeta chapter at Jackson State University.
All right, thank you. And I hope you're feeling better soon.
Yes, thank you.
All right, next, I think for Stewart, is this John Stewart?
Good evening, this is John Stewart.
Hello.
I am at Stephen F. Austin State University in Texas. Sorry my camera's out, but please imagine I'm sitting here wearing my Nirvana t-shirt.
All right.
No, they can't hear me.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Get by it right now.
All right. Next, how about Stephen?
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Kolwitz, chapter advisor, Sinus College in Collegeville, Pennsylvania.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. And next, I don't have a first name for Al Crocker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Crocker. That's what the L stands for.
Okay.
And I am one of the chapter advisors at Virginia State University.
All right, awesome. Thank you. And last, I just have a telephone number. I don't see a name. If you want to introduce yourself. Okay, maybe they're not on. All right, well, welcome everyone. I'm glad you're able to join us this evening. I want to keep it a little bit informal, as I said in my email. I have some information I want to share with you, and then I certainly want to save time for some questions and answers. So I'm going to present some information. A couple of other board members are going to share some information. Feel free to interject with any questions or comments at any time. As I said, this isn't a formal information. This is just a way to get a formal presentation. It's just a way to get information out to everyone. So I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm going to start with the information I sent in a recent email to everyone. I did receive some questions. So this is the spreadsheet that we have used previously when you are ready to induct new members into your chapter. So I titled it the PEK New Member Report. And the only thing that's different this year on the report is on the left-hand side here are updated membership categories and fees.
No, I'm not talking.
So I had some questions about this, and in fact, Smiley asked the question, and I said I would bring it to my board of directors if there was a possibility of a one-year membership for students that might be a little more feasible and cost-effective. So as of now, we don't have that as an option, but it's something that I will certainly bring to the board, and we will have a discussion on that, and I can report back. But for the time being, we've had a slight increase, a $5 increase in our initiation fee and our undergraduate student membership, just to cover the increased cost. Our printing costs have gone up, our shipping costs have gone up, just like everything else, it seems like, in the economy. So that's the reason for the pricing increase. So it's $20 for initiation fee. And then we lump together the undergraduate and graduate students, and we're just calling that future professional membership. And that's $25 for a 2-year membership. Faculty, working professionals can join for $45. The lifetime fees have stayed the same. We added a retired member category for $20 for a 2-year membership. The fraternity pin has been newly designed. I can show you a picture of that. And new this year, after much debate, we are offering the optional purchase of an honor cord. So over the years, I've received lots of inquiries from chapters about purchasing honor cords. And the board is well aware that each college and university kind of has their own rules and regulations regarding academic regalia. So if your university is one of the ones that you must purchase through your bookstore or something like that, that's completely understandable. If your bookstore wants to purchase it through the fraternity, we can see about getting a bulk rate or something like that. So that's an option as well. So I will show you, I think I sent these out in an email, some pictures. The honor cord is going to look like this. It's a double cord with our colors, black and gold. And the fraternity pin has been redesigned. My picture's not outstanding, but if anyone ordered them last year, they're much larger than the previous pin. And in my opinion, they have a nicer clasp, button hook on the back than the previous pin. So I like this design much better. It has our shield. So those are newer items that, again, are optional purchases. So again, same procedures. Now, as far as payment, we do have some new options. So we have the traditional payment option where you can mail check, money order to the fraternity address, which has not changed. It's the 108 Redwood Circle, Latrobe, Pennsylvania address. We also have the option to do an online invoice. So if a chapter wishes to pay for their new members via debit credit card, just let me know and I can send you an electronic invoice that will allow you to pay online. And then most recently, I just created a Venmo account for the fraternity, and that's going to be an option for payment as well. The last thing that I want to say about payment, and this is the one that gets a little tricky. So some chapter advisors have asked, can new members pay electronically? And the answer to that is yes. It's a slightly more cumbersome process. So let's pretend that you're inducting 5 new members this fall. You would need to send me the names and email addresses of those 5 students, and then I would individually email them an electronic invoice. And I would need to know what they're purchasing, if they're purchasing any optional items or anything like that. We would have to allow a little bit of grace period for them to pay. Then I would notify you who paid, and then we could order the materials. So if you choose that option, I would just caution you to allow a little more time in order to get your materials in time for your initiation. So that is certainly an option. And I know some chapter advisors, that's not the fun part of the job where you're trying to chase students down for money. And I completely understand that. I've dealt with many checks with insufficient funds. So I'm hoping the electronic payment options help to reduce that. I think it'll make your job easier as a chapter advisor and my job as executive director processing these. So I lied. One more thing to say about this. For your existing members, you do not need to do anything. Some chapters, collected renewal dues from their members. That's going to be done all automatically now through the membership database. So when anyone's membership is due to expire, they're going to receive an automatic renewal notice, and they have the option to pay online via debit and credit card. So I'm super excited about the new system. As I said, I'm trying to make your job as a chapter advisor as streamlined as possible. I know we're all extremely busy. Hopefully this is a step in the right direction. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions on the process that I just described for inducting new members?
I have a question about inducting new members. Do you have a new document for the induction ceremony, or is it still the same one I got, I don't know how many years ago, probably, I don't remember the year we were started, but it's the same ceremonial document that I have. Is there an updated version of one or something?
I can send you what I have. Chances are what you have is the most updated. The board of directors has not revised the ceremony script. So I have the script in Word format, and I also have PowerPoint templates if anyone's interested that myself and other board members have used. I can share what I've used, at my university. The PowerPoint template has proved useful. During COVID, we did online, virtual ceremonies. Mm-hmm. And I have some graduate students every year who choose to join who aren't on my campus. So now, each of my induction ceremonies are hybrid, where I have some students in attendance and some are joining via Zoom. So I would be glad to share that with you, Gwendolyn, if you want me to send that to you. Just maybe write me a little note in the chat box so I don't forget at the end of this, and I'll just shoot it off to you as soon as I get off the call.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure. Dan, go ahead.
No, just, I mean, it raises a great question I think we haven't really thought about. I know we're still fleshing out pieces of the website, but it might be a good spot, since you have to log in for certain parts, to go ahead and put things like PDFs up of the ceremony and things like that. So those documents are just available to the chapter advisors at any point. I didn't really think about it, but I think that would probably make it a lot easier. So
that's a great idea, Dan. In fact, let's pivot over to the website and I can mention that. So our new website launched last spring. It has been a work in progress. I'm pleased to announce that I've made some progress in updating it. As I go through more trainings, I'm learning how to do more things. So I apologize, it's been slow, but I'm really excited of where we're at. So I think Dan's suggestion is a good one. I think eventually when we go to, I'm going to either have a tab at the top for chapter advisors with information, or I think ideally I'd like to house it, since all chapter advisors are going to be members, put it in the members only section. And I envision posting minutes from the board meetings, so any member can read minutes, financial reports, operating codes. We're in the process of updating operating codes. Our handbook is going to be updated. So all of that I envision being in the members only section of the website. So we do have some information that's updated. The most recent one, and I have not sent this out via email, and this is the next email that's going out to chapter advisors. I've been trying not to provide information overload and sending out so much all at one time, but we've made some slight changes to the award process. So why don't I talk about that next? So if you click on awards, it's going to list our 5 awards. This has not changed. These are the same 5 awards that we give annually. The difference is the awards used to be in a Word document. I would send them and you had to remember where it was in your email and download the form. So again, trying to streamline it. So let's say you want to learn more about the Scholastic Achievement Certificate. You click here and it takes you gives you all the award description criteria. And then when you're ready to nominate somebody, it is a Google form. So you're going to nominate right online. Sorry, my computer is a little slow. And the only thing I don't know why it's populating with my chapter information. You can delete it out, but I don't know why it's automatically coming up. So I need to troubleshoot that. But for each award, whatever documents are required to be uploaded, there's an upload link. And then you can just verify as chapter advisor that the students have met the criteria, and you're going to submit it all online. So that's about as streamlined as we've ever been since I've been involved. So I think hopefully that'll help entice some chapter advisors. Please consider it if you haven't participated in the award process before. It's not too cumbersome, and it's a nice way to recognize your students. I think it'll help you in recruiting new students when they know they have the opportunity to be recognized with awards. And our awards, I'm pleased to say, each year I've been executive director, we've had more and more award recipients, and that's the whole idea. We have an endowment trust fund. We're a nonprofit, so we want to give money back. So some of the awards have a small monetary stipend. For example, for the Chapter Development Award, we will award up to 4 chapters with a $250 stipend for a project, as per the criteria there. So it's a way that the board of directors feel that we can give back to our members. So super excited about that. This is hot off the press. This was recently updated today as I was figuring out how to link all this stuff together. So I'm going to send this information out to all chapter advisors about the award process. So any questions for me about awards? The other thing I'll mention, we changed the deadline. So please note, this is very important. The nomination deadline, and this is going to be a hard deadline, and it's going to be January 27th. And the reason, because of our increased number of award recipients, we need more time as a board to review. Our awards committee reviews and verifies that each nominee meets the criteria. Then I need time as executive director to get them processed into the printers and then shipped to the chapter advisors. And then I also need time to create the PowerPoint presentation that we'll use in the virtual award ceremony. Okay. So that's the award process. So you really need to start thinking now about award nominations. January 27th allows you a little more time if you're going to take into consideration grades from the fall, but not a whole lot of time. But as I said, that's the reason behind the timeline. So we just need to get everyone aware of the change. We're asking for photographs for all of the awards. We use them in the PowerPoint ceremony, and I'm really trying hard to have an increased social media presence. And I'd really like to, starting this year, to put our award winners out, trickle them out through our social media channels so the recipients get that public recognition on social media as well. So again, any questions for me regarding the award process?
Dave,
Yes, Nancy.
I just have a question. I mean, you wanted pictures. Does it have to be about the awards, or can they just any kind of information dealing with chapter activities?
For most of the awards, it's just going to be a headshot of the recipient. The chapter development award is the only one. I just said if you have a picture maybe of your chapter doing an activity or something like that, just so we have some visual for that. But for the Distinguished Service Award, Vesely Scholarship, Scholastic Achievement, even the Advisor of the Year, most of those are just headshots. Yep. All right. So while I'm on the website, I also wanted to mention, I put it in the email. We have a number of different professional development opportunities scheduled this year. And again, that's something that the board of directors is very interested in expanding. So we're adding more and more each year. All of the information I put in the email, you can find on the calendar feature. So if you go here under full calendar, and it'll come up month by month. And if you click, like this is tonight's meeting, and if you click on it, the Zoom information will be right there. So just in case it gets buried in your email, you can't find it. So our next professional development workshop is going to be a new one. It's going to be November 2nd, and we're titling this one a virtual PEK Professional Career Path Workshop. And Dr. Hickey, who is our past president, who's on the call tonight, is going to be spearheading that. And what we envision for that is having breakout rooms where students can interact with a professional in the various fields of kinesiology. So for example, we might have a health and PE person, an athletic training person, exercise science, sport administration. So that's our plan for that, to make it a little more intimate and for students to have an opportunity to talk about internships, professionalism, building their resume, job market, those types of things that are pertinent to their field. So that's a new one. We're excited. We're currently planning for that one in November. And then in the spring, on February 15th, we're going to do the PEK Virtual Leadership Workshop again. And that's where we invited chapter advisors and your student leaders to attend. So it's more of a leadership workshop, and we'll have some different speakers and topics to address different aspects of leadership. So all of these events are on the calendar. The Zoom calls are there. The student members are going to receive emails regarding these as well to promote them, and they'll know where to find them. If they lose their email, they'll know to go to the calendar feature, and they'll be able to find the Zoom call information. So super excited, and we're open to ideas. If chapter advisors, if any of you have suggestions for professional development or workshops that you think would be good fit for the fraternity to be offering to our students, please reach out to me or any of the board members and let us know. We are open to any and all suggestions in this area. There have been talks. We've established a partnership with the new organization, the National Academy for Health and Physical Literacy. They have a future professional division. So we've talked about possibly collaborating with them on some workshops in the future. And we're looking to establish additional relationships with other professional organizations in the various kinesiology fields. So that's some future direction that we're headed with that. Last couple things that I want to mention, and these are also some things that are going to be sent out via email to chapter advisors. This is a redesign of the chapter charter. So I don't know how many of you still have your original charter from when you were installed. We've made a redesign of the charter. In fact, none of these have been printed yet. The new chapters that come on board are going to get a framed copy of their charter that's going to look like this. I'm going to give an opportunity for existing chapters to purchase if you want an updated design charter for your chapter. And there'll be a framed and an unframed option. You know, the unframed option is going to be cheaper. So the printer's giving me that information. I'm just waiting and getting the final prices, and then I'll send that out to all the chapter advisors. But that's something in the near future, if you're interested in purchasing that for your chapter, that will be available. And then also long overdue, we redesigned the life member certificate. All right, so this is example. If a student purchases a life member, they're going to get this certificate. And then the life member card is going to be a metal card. It's a black matted metal card. And this is what the front of it is going to look like. And then on the back, it's going to be similar to the regular member card. It'll have some of our fraternity information. So I just want you to be aware of that. If any of you want copies of these photographs to be able to show your students, just let me know. I'd be glad to send them to you. So those are some newer items as well. The last couple things I have on my agenda, one thing, and it's on the new website. So I'm trying to transition away from using my university email for fraternity business. So some of you we've communicated with that david.lorenzi@iup.edu. So I'm trying to funnel all the fraternity email through the PEK admin at Phi Epsilon Kappa.org. So that's the website or the email you'll see all over the new website. Just because too many emails were getting lost in my inbox at the university. So I'm really trying to separate it out so I can be more efficient and timely in responding to emails. I'm also putting together, if you see, I'm wearing a polo shirt. We did this pre-COVID. We did an apparel sale. I'm putting together another one. I envision, I don't know if it may be in the spring, but maybe we do one in the fall and spring. We'll see how it goes. The previous one, I sent the link to you as chapter advisors and then asked you to disseminate it to your students. Now I'm able to send it out through the new membership database to everyone individually. So you won't have to worry about that. And it can go on our social media. And if alumni or anyone, I've been asked at conferences, where people can get. So maybe some polos like quarter zips, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, just have some different items, different price points on those. So if you have any input for items you think students would be interested in, shoot me an email or a message, let me know, but I'm going to put it together and we'll pilot it and see how it goes. But that's something else that's coming out. Then the last thing I want to say, then I'm going to turn it over to some of our other board members. Please encourage your students to upload pictures of your chapter activities to our social media. We have a Facebook, a LinkedIn, a Twitter, an Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. I just created the video that's on the front page, an informational video for people that may not know about the fraternity and click on, they can learn a little bit about. So as I said, I want to be more active on social media and get more engagement. So please try to encourage. If you don't want to post it, send it to me and I'll put it out. If I have your permission, I'll put it out on social media. So I have the use of a graduate student this year that's a little more savvy on social media, shall we say, than I am. So she's going to be very helpful in that regard. So again, just please remind your students, and I think it's a community for all of us to use. So that's enough of listening to myself talk. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Berkey. Let me unshare my screen here. And Dr. Berkey, would you like to say a few words?
Well, good evening. I am Deb Berkey, and I thought what I was doing tonight was to talk with you a little bit about initiations and maybe some questions that you have. I think all of you are in the midst of, you do installations, or you've already been installed. I'm going to give you a perspective of somebody who has installed probably more PEKs across the United States than anybody on the board. I'm pretty sure that I hold that record. But I want to talk with you a little bit about, well, what kinds of things could you anticipate? And I'm going to also just quickly talk with you a little bit about the fact about my perspective as I was the chapter advisor of Epsilon Alpha for 20 years. We initiated in '98. And before I retired, we got 20 years in. So I was pretty proud of that. So you might say that I've done a few installations, and guess what I would say is, and in initiations, I've seen the best of them and the ones that could use a little help. Let's put it like that. So what I'm going to talk about is just like some things. I realize that each of you has probably already established some traditions, and I think that's great. But let me give you just some, hey, here's some things you might want to think about when you're doing an installation, when you're doing an initiation. Would that work out okay? I promise I won't go very long. And if you need to, like, hey, what's going on? Stop, let's go back to this. Like you, Dan, I had thought that perhaps putting a lot of this on the website, since we finally have one that's functional, would be very useful. And so a lot of what I'm going to say tonight, I think could be placed in a checklist or that type of a thing. So let's talk about the prep. You know, I have some templates if you're interested. I think it's really important that you invite every single person that you can think of that might be interested, like the dean, like the associate deans, like the president. If I got lucky and John Dunn was the president of Western Michigan University, and he would attend our initiations faithfully. So you just never quite know. But I would invite those types of people. I would invite, if you've already, I know at Brockport and some of the, like, or even mine, we had people that would like to come back. They lived in the area and they like to come back and they like to make the connection. So I would just encourage you to think about invitations. Hey, you know, is there anybody that on the university campus? Is there anybody in the community that you'd like to invite? The program, I'm old school. I have paper programs. I think it marks the event. I've got some templates from that as well. Something you might want to think about, I put the history of our particular chapter. And then that was there every time. Like Nancy, I know all about all of that because I installed the thing. So I can even tell you what day it was. But anyway, the point is, you know, it's nice to be able to, for the students and initiates and anybody who's attending, to see a little bit of the history of what's happened at North Carolina State or wherever you happen to be. So I have a template for that. It also lists things like who are the chapter advisor, the chapter officers, the initiates, and of course the members, that sort of thing. So you might want to, you know, think about that type of a thing. We had a book. We had a script, a book. We always recommend that you do that. Whether it's a book or it's some sort of scroll or what. I mean, I think Central had this big long scroll that they used. That was their tradition. From my perspective, figure out whatever it is that you want, but that thing should go along with your group. And it lists every single person that's been in the organization at your institution, and I think that's pretty important. Check out your supplies. You know, you need 7 candles if you're doing the traditional ceremony. If you're doing the one with the big one in the middle, it might take you a little while to find Hobby Lobby and those types of places where you can actually find the candles that you need. Also decide whether you're really going to use candles or they won't let you. And so you need to find those lovely electric ones. I can tell you that I did some things illegally. I'll admit it to this group, but they get a little upset when you put fire in the buildings. And I never set off the alarms. But my point to you is figure out what it is that you need. The tablecloth. You need a nice big long white tablecloth, or you're going to go with black and gold. Or you got, I mean, it's up to you, really. We had a blanket that we had made years and years and years ago. One of the parents was one of those people that, you know, did the fancy lettering and all that sort of thing. It might be worth it for you to think about that sort of thing. You say, oh, I'm only going to use it 1 or 2 times a year. Well, there again, that's some tradition. So just something to think about. Whoever mentioned the script, my advice to you, when I go and do an installation, I always want them there at least an hour to half hour, at least an hour to 3/4 of an hour before, because I have them read the script. Let's be clear. Some of the words inculcate, for example, or imbue, or they'll look up at you like, what is that? And so so that the student doesn't be reading along and either stumble over it or be like, give you that look like, what's this? You can have that talk with them before. So if I always picked, and what I always say to people when I waltz in there, if I'm going to do the installation, who are your members? Or excuse me, who are your officers? And those are usually the ones, and you probably do the same thing, that I pick to do the reading parts. But even if they've done it a couple of times, it's still wise, I believe, to have them have that confidence. Public speaking is not always a big forte amongst our students. I mean, some of them got the gift of gab and some of them don't. But this particular script runs in a particular way. And so it would be useful, I believe, for you to have them practice. Also, now that I've brought that up, I always use the PowerPoint. And my PowerPoint is probably a little more detailed than Dave's, maybe not, I don't know, because I put the words in there. Like when we get to the part where they're actually taking the oath and they're taking the pledge and they're doing those sorts of things, I just have that thing right up there. And Dave, maybe you did that, I don't know, but it's just easier. It's sing song, and that way and then when they say, I state your name, and they do it just like that, I state my name instead of I, Deb Berkey. But anyway, it's up on the board. So you can have a student run it or have you run it, but I think it's useful to have that run with the script. Of course, all the words on the script aren't up there. I'm just talking about the pieces that are, you know, when we get up there and we're talking about the plaque, for example. We used to have these, and in my in my chapter, I had an actual plaque, and so they could actually point to the parts. All of you don't have that all of you don't have those, but if you had the PowerPoint, it would be useful for you. So Dave, we need to make sure that that's available to them, or in whichever version that you want. But I would think about that, and I would customize it to Olivet or to Whittier or wherever you happen to be. But I think the visual aid helps quite a bit. This piece here, again, I'm old school. I like kids to dress up. They don't have to look like they're going to the prom, but I think that this is a I would say a special occasion, and I would encourage them to if you don't want the shirt and tie, the girls usually do a little bit better job with this than the males. Don't take that wrong, but it's usually, that's my experience of it. So they say, well, what am I supposed to look like? Well, or what am I supposed to wear? Well, a white dress shirt or a black dress shirt. Western went to the place where the students who were being inducted had a white shirt on, and the students who were already members had black shirts. That's just how we handled it. That's what they wanted to do. They bought into that. But I would encourage you to have them, if you will, think about the parameters of what of the dress of the day. Does that make sense? Because if you say business casual, they don't always get that. So that might even be something that you talk about with your board. You know, so how, when they take our picture, how do you want that picture to go out and look? You know, if it's if that's the only way to get them to think about it. But I would encourage you to think about that. The day of, oh well, let me go back to one thing. I reserved the honor cords for people who were seniors. We had a ceremony for students who were graduating, and right before they walked, that's when they got their cords. So everybody didn't have cords during the initiation. The people who had cords were the people who were officers. So I kept a set of cords for the kids the students who were leading. That was a special thing for them. And then, as I say, the way we handle it how you want. If you order the cords, like Dave was having the discussion a minute ago, I keep them in a box. That's where they were in my office. And we made a big deal out of it. The seniors, the graduating seniors, before they walked in whatever, if it's December or in our case, April, we had a ceremony for them. So those are some things to think about, which relates to your initiation. It would be useful to think about how you're going to parade in there. So what are you going to do? Are you going to, technically that you should be leading the students in, the ones who are going to be initiated. At least that's the way I have always done the installations. And so the people who are already members are already in the room. I had them stand when the students came in. The students who were being initiated were led in by, I used to lead them because I felt pretty strongly about the chapter advisor doing that, and the executive committee. We wound them in. I always had them be in alphabetical order, so that when they came in and sat down, at the beginning of the ceremony, their names are called, right? So that allows you then to manage that. So what I'm trying to get around to you is, how do you want the room laid out? So what are you going to do? Is the room going to be up here? Where's the screen? Where are the initiates? Where's the table in the front? And where are the existing members? And if you have guests, where are you going to have them as well? I could probably think of 100 other things that can go well or not go so well, but you know, it's a special day for them, and if we can anticipate as many things as we possibly can, I can put this together as a checklist, which is what I was thinking about doing anyway. And then again, there's no, you got to do it just like this. It's more, hey, what are the traditions that you have established? What are the sorts of things that are comfortable in your particular setting, and how do we make this a special occasion for our students who have stepped up and are being inducted into Phi Epsilon Kappa. Hope that made sense. The only other thing I'd say is, we've expanded so much. I used to say to them, remember, we're all about, whether you're prehab, rehab, whether you're teaching, whether you're a sports manager, whether you're coaching, whatever you are, we're all in this thing called, we want them to pursue healthy, active lifestyles. And whatever part that is, that this fraternity is about supporting those groups and enhancing the professional development of the future professionals. Hope that made sense. If you've got questions, put them in the chat, please, so that we can keep moving, or Dave can always connect you with me. And thank you for what you're doing, because, I know it's not easy to be the chapter advisor. We don't exactly get credit for that all the time. Tenure and promotion is usually not based on your professional service. I see that little smile there, Bert. But so this is a labor of love, I know. But I don't know about you, but this to me was one of the most important things that I did, and I think you feel the same way, or you wouldn't be spending your Wednesday nights with us. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'll sign out.
All right, thank you, Deb. And last, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Burt, and then we can ask, any questions, comments as we close in on 9 p.m. Eastern here. Dr. Burt.
How's it going, everyone? I'll make this extremely short. I will say a side note on the candles. I am 100% behind real candles. I love them, but they definitely have cracked down on us hard. I got one last year in, and then we moved over to the clicky candles. Man, I have students who cannot pull that off, where you just click the candle to light it. So I got lazy and Amazoned in a bunch of candles that I can remote light now. And so these are in my house as well. It's out of Victorian, so it's like a great Halloween look. But that's also now what I use, is just remote do it from where I'm at. But that being said, I think the only thing I really like to emphasize is twofold. One is definitely when you're working with your chapters, spend time remembering what these chapters are about. It wasn't just about having another group to have another group. The emphasis on the approaches and the foundations of knowledge, education, peace, friendship, and brotherly love, those are big things that we really try to emphasize. And so from my standpoint, I really like to use our chapter as a standpoint for discussing ethical practices. And we do hold our members accountable. We have removed members who luckily I don't think try to pay their dues, so I don't have to worry about them on the side jumping back in without us knowing. But we have removed members in the past due to, say, got caught cheating, things like that. And so I think that holding firm and fast on things like that, having those conversations, really for a lot of our members has elevated the importance of engaging in ethical behavior. So we try to do, most of us, we usually for us do seniors and juniors as our initiates only. So that way there's not a last second like failing out of classes we don't know about. But with that, we try to get them to engage in 1 or 2 really good projects within a good year where they're giving back to the community, whether it be the university or some of our other programs we have. In addition to that, we also try to have these conversations. I think we've just seen a decline in both philosophy and ethics inside kinesiology. Not saying people aren't ethical, but as a teaching methodology. So I try to use that gap with this to fill that in. And I've had a lot of our majors come back to say that there's a few times they thought they were going to engage in questionable behavior, but they're like, I really don't want to deal with Dr. Burt and my chair, Dr. Heron, over being removed from, Phi K after I've got to that point where, they've come in, and I'm not gonna lie, we do ours in classes. Like who gets selected is a big deal. It's known. We make the chair hand delivers it in the class that you're in. It's not hidden. And so with that being said, because we set that standard up there, I think it adds one more layer for the people we expect to do extremely well in our field, puts that extra pressure on there. So my encouragement is, again, when you can, absolutely engage your students in doing something good for the community, whether it be the university or our local area. We've done stuff with Purple Door, which is a women's assault group that deals with protection and hiding and so forth. And then on top of that, my recommendation is just, again, to emphasize that really what the points are, the approaches are, not just academically, because I feel like we get on that really quick. but also on the ethics that go involved with it and helping each other out. So with that being said, that's all I really have to say. And I think, David, a great idea would be at the bottom of the homepage, if we go ahead and list out all the handles for our social media. That way everyone can clearly link it. So when you guys do something, please, the hardest thing we have is because the way we operate, we don't have a ton of content that comes out. Our content has to come from chapters. So by all means, if we have that up there, link your stuff to it and promote your chapters.
Thank you, Dr. Burt. I just tried the icons at the bottom of the web page are direct links to the social media accounts. You think we should have the handles as well? So when they log on through other devices?
Yeah, I think just that way they can, yeah, if I can see it, if I was using my phone most of the time for like Instagram, which is what I do, I'd go ahead and just type that in right here and then I'd have it here instead of having to go find it.
Okay.
That, and I think it would blend in. People sometimes don't know if they link or don't link, so they don't click it.
Okay, I got you. Okay, very good. Well, thank you, Dr. Berkey and Dr. Burt. Some very good information. We have about 10 minutes or so. I will open it up for any questions, discussion, ideas for future, anything at all. Would everyone be interested if I sent out, Deb, I'm going to send you the PowerPoint I have and see if it matches with the one you were talking about. Since Dr. Dawkins had asked about the ceremony, maybe send that out. I can send a sample. I use a signature page. I keep like a leather bound, 3-ring binder, and each year, all the new members sign, so we have that as a historical record. So I can send that template. And maybe if Deb puts together a checklist, and then eventually all this stuff will be on the website. As we discussed in the beginning, I envision a chapter advisor section, maybe in the members only section where you can go. As Dr. Berkey said, it's not a, just to give you ideas to mesh the traditions with your particular chapter situation and traditions as well. So we can certainly send that out via email until we can get it up onto the website. All right. Any questions or comments? Are we ready to call it an evening? I'm going to reiterate what Dr. Berkey said. I'm extremely grateful for all of you for serving as chapter advisors. As a chapter advisor myself and as the executive director, I know how time consuming it is, and I really work, the board of directors is working hard to try to streamline this for you and make it as easy as possible for you to do your job. The other thing we envision on the website is maybe a section with examples. If you want to send me, or I'll be asking for it, I would love to compile a list of community service projects that our chapters are involved in. Sometimes new advisors and new chapters are looking for ideas. So I think they would love to see what other chapters around the country are doing. So that can be another section on the website. We have chapters doing outstanding community service, and it deserves to be recognized. So that's all I have for this evening. Once again, I appreciate everybody joining in, and I'm going to send the link out to all the chapter advisors, and I will attach that information. And in a separate email, I'm going to send out that award information as well, so everyone's aware of the due dates and timeline for the award process. All right. Well, thanks for joining. We'll see everyone. Have a successful year. Please reach out to me with any questions or concerns, and I will do my best to assist you. The board members would stay on real quick for me, please.